Hi guys, welcome back to 100% Mag. So of course in today's video we are going to be talking about the recent news circulating around Newcastle United's transfers, and of course there's some massive news keep coming out every day now for Newcastle United's transfers in this January transfer window. There's talk of loads of players that could be leaving Newcastle United. We've heard the likes of Kieran Trippier being rumoured of a move away, Wilson being rumoured of a move away, Almiron as of today being talked about moving away and agreeing terms with a club over in Saudi Arabia, and now there is talk of players actually coming in as well. In of course the likes of Onana at Everton, which I talked about in a previous video. But today's one is absolutely massive. A player that I definitely love to see join Newcastle United, and we will of course get to that player in this video. But before we do that, make sure to hit a like, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and of course let's get straight into it. So the first bit of news I want to talk about is the news that's come from Ben Jacobs. Of course he is saying that this is an exclusive piece of news, and he's saying that Al Sharab in Saudi Arabia, of course a club that's not owned by PIF, have of course agreed a deal in principle with Almiron to move out to Saudi Arabia. Almiron has said that he is open to the move, but only if Newcastle United can agree a fee with the club. This, of course, is a one that I would expect to happen. To be honest, it is a player that, a lot of us Newcastle United fans have said that we could do with moving on. That's no disrespect by any means to Almiron, but the lad is very limited. He can only play with his left foot, and of course that limits him immensely, especially when he's playing over on the right of midfield. So of course that limits his game immensely. But this deal is being talked about in the region of 20 to 30 million for Almiron to move to Saudi Arabia. I feel that is a pretty decent deal, considering what we brought him in for. If we can get over the amount that we brought him in for, which was 20 million, if we can get say 25, 30 million for Almiron, then that is a really good deal, because we can then repurpose that money back into bringing in a replacement for Almiron. But we might already have that replacement at St James's, of course, already in the likes of Harvey Barnes, who unfortunately hasn't been able to play very much game time this season because of picking up that injury. We've also got other players in there as well, like Anthony Gordon, who could switch over to that wing, especially when you hear the player that I'm going to talk about, of course, and you might have already guessed it by the title of the video. But that could also open options as well for Anthony Gordon to move over to the right of midfield instead. But looking at it, for me, this is a deal that ticks all the boxes. It gets him out of the Premier League, which is great. It gets where, the money in the coffers for the FFP in this window and the windows ahead, of course. So this ticks all the boxes for me. This is a deal that I would be happy to see happen. Obviously, it would be sad to see Almiron leave, especially after how long he has been here for. But at the end of the day, we knew this was going to be happening. Players that we love would be moving on. That's the way it is. It's football at the end of the day. We've got to keep moving forward. But this is a deal that I would be happy with, of course, if we could get a decent fee for him, of course, out to Saudi Arabia. But Martin Hardy is trying to pour cold water onto this. He's saying told nothing as it stands going on or agreed with regards to Almiron and a possible move to Saudi Arabia. The only reason I won't believe Martin Hardy on this one is the fact that he is here in the Northeast as a Northeast journalist, whilst, of course, we all know Ben Jacobs works out in the Middle East, so he would have the bigger connections in this sort of story. He would know exactly what is going on out in the Middle East, and if this deal, of course, actually is going on, which, I believe Ben Jacobs on this one, because he is working out in the Middle East. So, of course, his sources will be a lot more concrete over there than, say, the likes of Martin Hardy, who, of course, is a Northeast journalist and is working out of the UK, whilst Ben Jacobs is working out of the Middle East, so he will have the better connections on this story. So, I believe Ben Jacobs on this one. We're also seeing reports coming from Craig Hope again, of course, which then gets cold water poured on from Fabrizio Romano only a matter of minutes after Craig Hope released it. And it is, of course, AC Milan want to sign Callum Wilson on a permanent deal. Atletico Madrid had loan bid rejected, and Newcastle insist they want to keep Wilson. Wilson would be open to talks if the club accept an offer for, of course, himself. He currently has 18 months left on his contract as well, according to news from Craig Hope. But then, like I say, only a matter of minutes after Craig Hope released that news, out for us Newcastle United fans to indulge in. Fabrizio Romano, of course, put out his own piece of news saying Callum Wilson won't join AC Milan. Their focus is on different positions, with Grion, Okafor, and Jovic doing very well. Atletico Madrid will go for Moise Kean, and Wilson will not join Atletico Madrid neither. So who do we believe on this one? We know Romano is a very reputable journalist. He knows what he's talking about. At the end of the day, he does so many of these stories, every single transfer window. Craig Hope, however, so far this window has give way very, very dodgy reports. And, I'm starting to get a similar feeling about the reports that are coming out from Craig Hope. It seems like he's throwing out just a scattergun approach, seeing what sticks. So, we'll have to wait and see on this one. But as, Callum Wilson might be wanting that move away, because we have seen, he is had a bit of a thing with that challenge between him and Isak. At the end of the day, he wants to have a bit more game time by the looks of it. You can see that. And obviously this season he's had some injury problems, as has most of the players in the team had injury problems. So it is causing a little bit of a problem for them players to get their game time, what they want to get. But, I think this one might have something in it yet, to be honest. But we'll have to wait and see on this one, because at the end of the day, like Darren Eales has said, so many of the players are up for sale. Anybody is, available, as long as the deal is of wealth to Newcastle. If the deal is of good value to Newcastle, then of course the deal will happen. If it ticks all the boxes for what we want, then it will happen. Also, TalkSport were talking about the Almiron deal as well, saying nobody saw that one coming. And then, of course, we have seen the likes of Javier Manquillo. Manny, of course, his deal has been completed. He's signed now on a permanent deal until June 2025 for Celta Vigo, so he will reunite with Rafa Benitez over in La Liga. So good luck to Javier Manquillo, who was here for over 6.5 years, in Newcastle United. He only managed to score that one goal for Newcastle as well, which of course was a very good goal, I've got to say. But he only managed to score that one in his time here as well. But good luck to Javier Manquillo. Thank you to Javier Manquillo for everything that he has done for Newcastle United in the time that he was here as well. He will always be respected and appreciated for what he has done whilst wearing a Newcastle United shirt. Moving on from, of course, that to the news about Kieran Trippier now. This is where it's getting a little bit cloudy here, because there's plenty of people talking about the Kieran Trippier deal to Bayern Munich. I talked about it in the last video, of course, where, Bayern Munich are wanting to bring in Kieran Trippier, but he is a backup option for their number one option of Mikhail of PSG. But you know, Kieran Trippier seems to be open to the deal, like reports have been saying from Craig Hope on Callum Wilson. You know, the players are open to the deal, but only if Newcastle accept a fee for the player. Nobody is wanting to go until, you know, Newcastle have accepted a fee. Nobody wants to commit 100% to a deal because nobody wants to actually leave Newcastle United, especially with what is going on. I can't blame them, you know, because we are on the road to something absolutely amazing here. So I can't blame any of these players that, you know, want to stay at the end of the day. But if there is a decent offer that comes in, then I'm sure, you know, they will be moved on. Newcastle reportedly wanting 12 million for Kieran Trippier from reports that are coming out today. Pete Graves, however, here, as you can see in this picture, you know, he says lots being said about Trips. I understand is he's of course flattered by interest from Bayern, but fully committed to Newcastle, and Eddie Howe, who has the utmost respect for. Certainly not pushing for a move or anything. And then, of course, you've got the Craig Hope side of the spectrum, of course, saying Kieran Trippier returns from New York in a bid to seal a Bayern Munich move. NUFC rejected initial approach and say not for sale, but talks continue, and Trippier has spoken to Bayern. Would be take a sizable offer for a deal to happen. So it's two completely different sides of the transfer spectrum at the moment. You know, you've got one journalist saying one thing and one journalist contradicting the other by saying another thing. So at the moment, you know, it's all touch and go on Kieran Trippier. We'll have to just wait and see what happens on that one, and for most of the transfers as well. But it's that time. Let's talk about, of course, if you haven't guessed it already by the title of the video, the main piece of news that has come out today. This is coming from a report over in Germany, and it is that Newcastle have lined up a £43 million bid for Benjamin Sesko. This would be absolutely fantastic. You know, this lad is a player that Newcastle United have had what eye on for quite a while now. A lot of people saying that he is the next Erling Haaland. I say he is the first Benjamin Sesko. This kid is absolutely fantastic. I've seen him play. I've seen him play against Liverpool, of course, last season, and he was just absolutely fantastic. He tore them apart. He was just an absolutely amazing player, and he's definitely going places. He's got a release clause in his contract that is soon to be activated, if not already activated as I record this video. And of course, that release clause is £43 million. If we can trigger that release clause, we can have Benjamin Sesko, somebody that a lot of clubs out there are dying to get their hands on. Real Madrid's had a look at this lad. Barcelona's had a look at this lad. Man City's had a look. Everybody who is anybody has had a look at Benjamin Sesko, and he's a player that, of course, is high on Newcastle's list to be signed up by our owners, you know, and even his agent was on Tyneside back in 2022. Of course, to have discussions with Newcastle United before he made his move from RB Salzburg to RB Leipzig in the German league. So, you know, who knows? Maybe this could be, you know, a deal that we could see happen. That is just an absolutely fantastic fee, you know, 43 million for what this lad can do as well. This would, like I said earlier in the video, give us then the option to have Benjamin Sesko playing as a striker and Alex moving out onto the wing as a winger. It could also mean Benjamin Sesko playing as a winger and Alex playing as a striker, because that is the versatility of Benjamin Sesko. He has that ability, like Isak, to play the wings as well as playing as a striker. So You know, we've seen it with some of the other players that we are being linked with in this window. You know, the likes of Joshua Kimmich, who is a versatile player, can play pretty much anywhere on the pitch. We've seen it with Marcos Llorente as well, who we've also been linked with, who is another versatile player and can play anywhere on the pitch. I can see the vision what Newcastle United are going for here. We are going for a versatile playing squad, a squad that can, you know, be just put into any position and connect perfectly with each other. And that is a really, really good way of going about, you know, progressing forward, bringing in players that can play multiple positions and play them not only, you know, decent, but at a high level, playing in these positions as though they're natural to this position as well. That is just a great way of moving forward. I've seen it, you know, by the way we've been looking at different players, and you can see these players are versatile players. You know, we know that these players are versatile players, and Benjamin Sesko is along that same line, you know, where he can pretty much play anywhere he wants to play. Of course, within reason in the attacking area of the game. So that would definitely be a deal that I'd be happy with to see, you know, Newcastle United agree on. But oh, that would be a really good signing. That would, of course, mean that we would have a guaranteed strike force for the next, you know, 10 years, bare minimum, because he's only 22 years old. So, you know, at the end of the day, that would mean that we'd bare minimum have a strike force settled for the next 10 years. You know, and we've already seen that we've got the fullbacks in Tino Livramento, Lewis Hall as well, if he does get the permanent deal done, which we'll have to wait and see on that one. But let us know your thoughts anyway about everything said in today's video. I know it has been a bit of a longer one, but I wanted to try and cram as much of the transfer news into this video as I could, because I haven't been uploading for a little bit, and of course I wanted to try and get as much out there for you lads and lasses to sink your teeth into in this video. If it has been of note to you, please do consider hitting a like, share and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all for the next one. However, lads.